You've seen it before. At the zoo, behind a glass barrier or across a moat, a massive elephant sways. Its head rocks from side to side. Its weight shifts right to left over and over again. You probably thought it was just bored. You might have assumed it was because of the heat, but the real cause is far stranger. That elephant is showing signs of post-traumatic stress disorder, PTSD. Not many people realize that animals can get PTSD, but the evidence is clear and haunting. In the 1990s, in South Africa's Pilanesberg National Park, young male elephants went on a killing spree. They attacked rhinoceroses. They killed over 40 of them. It was not hunting. It was targeted, violent aggression with no apparent purpose. Park managers were baffled. They were ready to cull the elephants. Then an investigation uncovered the shocking backstory. The young killers were all cull orphans. As calves, they had witnessed helicopters and gunfire. The South African government had authorized culls to manage elephant populations. Entire family groups were shot down. The babies, too small to be a threat, were spared and relocated. They had seen their mothers and aunts slaughtered. They had been rounded up and shipped to a new park. They arrived with no family, no matriarch to guide them, no older bulls to teach them restraint. They grew up feral, traumatized, and socially broken. Their violence was not mere misbehavior. It was the physical expression of profound psychological damage. Their brains had been rewired by early trauma. The researcher Gay Bradshaw studied this case deeply. In her book, Elephants on the Edge, she coined a term, elephant breakdown syndrome. She described it as a form of complex PTSD. She likened it to the trauma seen in human war veterans who have experienced unspeakable violence. But what does this breakdown actually look like inside an elephant's brain? Consider a young bull from Pilanesberg again. He charges a truck because its engine growl matches a helicopter. He is not being malicious. He is reliving the moment his mother was shot down. His brain is flooded with the same stress hormones as a war veteran's. Elephants share our core fear circuitry. They have an enormous hippocampus. Their memory is legendary for a reason. An elephant can remember a waterhole from 30 years ago. It can recognize the calls of over 100 other elephants. But that powerful memory can also become a cage. When an elephant experiences terror, the traumatic memory gets sealed into its brain with unbearable vividness. After a cull, the surviving calf saw its family fall. It smelled the blood and heard the gunfire. That sensory burst is hardwired into the developing brain. For the rest of its life, a helicopter sound might unleash panic. A sharp crack in the distance could trigger a fight response. The elephant is forever trapped in that moment. There is a physical side to this. Scientists can measure it. At the Amboseli Elephant Research Project in Kenya, researchers have tracked stress hormones for decades. They found that elephants in high-poaching zones carry chronically elevated cortisol. Even when the immediate threat subsides, the cortisol levels remain high. The stress response becomes chronic and self-perpetuating. The body never fully comes down from the alert. The same is true in captivity. Multiple studies have documented that the more an elephant sways, the higher its stress hormone levels are. The sway is a window into an internal storm. Elephants that sway repetitively have higher cortisol levels than those that live in more natural social groups. The sway is not just a habit. It is a physical attempt to self-soothe. It's a rhythm to fight the chaos inside. Think of a human rocking back and forth after a devastating loss. The motion is primal. It's the body trying to find a beat when the mind is in fragments, but the story gets even more complex. Trauma can be passed down the generations. Elephants are intensely social and cultural. Calves learn from their mothers and grandmothers. They watch and mimic. If a matriarch is hypervigilant, the calves absorb that hypervigilance as their own baseline. A 2016 study on elephant groups that survived culling found that the next generation still showed elevated stress responses. They were jumpier. They clustered tighter together. They reacted more strongly to unexpected sounds. The trauma of the massacre was echoing through time. It had become an inherited fear. You might notice something similar closer to home. Think of your own dog, if you have one. A rescue dog that flinches when a man lifts his hand. A dog that cowers at the smell of alcohol. The dog was not born flinching. Its early experiences shaped its brain in the same way. The amygdala, the hippocampus, the cortisol. The same medications that help humans with anxiety sometimes help dogs too. So if therapy and medication can help a rescue dog, what happens when we try to heal a 6-ton elephant with PTSD? But can these emotionally shattered elephants ever truly heal? And what does that recovery look like? And they have been used for elephants. In sanctuaries, traumatized elephants receive more than just space and food. They receive a kind of psychological rehabilitation. At the David Sheldrick Wildlife Trust in Kenya, orphaned elephant calves arrive shattered. Keepers see them crying out in the night. The calves have nightmares. They struggle to bond with others. Over time, with constant, gentle care and the company of other elephants, many begin to heal. Their swaying lessens. Their cortisol drops. They form new bonds. They can even become caretakers for younger orphans. But what role does elephant empathy play in this healing? The research reveals something remarkable. The healing is possible. Researcher Joyce Poole has spent decades decoding elephant communication. She has documented their immense empathy. Elephants will reach out their trunks to comfort a distressed companion. They have been seen helping injured members of other herds. This empathy is not just a coincidence. It is the emotional scaffolding for their recovery. A traumatized elephant, placed in a stable family group, can slowly relearn safety. Its amygdala can quiet down. Its body can stop bracing for the next blow. So what does that mean for how we care for them in captivity? This has shifted the way some zoos design their elephant programs. The old model of a concrete pen with a few toys is now seen as inadequate. Progressive zoos create complex environments with sand, pools, and a social structure that mimics the wild. They use positive reinforcement, not dominance. They minimize unpredictability and loud noises. They allow elephants to have some control over their social interactions. They understand that an elephant's mind is as important as its body. Yet the ultimate roots of elephant PTSD lie in the wild. Poaching and habitat destruction remain relentless. The elephant you saw swaying may be a survivor of brutal conflict. Maybe it watched its mother killed for ivory. Maybe it was chased from its home by bulldozers. The sway is a scar you can see, a motion that speaks of a mind unable to rest. And here is the unsettling reflection. Watch that swaying long enough, and you might feel something. You know what it's like to be stuck in a loop of anxiety. You know the way a certain song can pull you back to a painful memory, the way a smell can make your heart race. The elephant's body is doing the same thing. It is not because elephants are like us in some sentimental way. It's because the basic neurobiology of fear is ancient. It predates the split between our evolutionary lines. PTSD is not a human invention. It's a brain overwhelmed by horror in any creature that has a brain complex enough to remember. Fear, in the right dosage, keeps you alive. It makes you avoid the place where the predator lurks. But when the threat is overwhelming and inescapable, the alarm becomes the cage. In a healthy brain, the danger signal turns off once the threat passes. In a traumatized brain, the signal never shuts off. It becomes the background hum of existence. The elephant lives in a permanent state of emergency. That is the broken circuit behind the sway. So what do we do with this knowledge? Maybe the next time you see an elephant swaying, you'll look harder. You won't see a bored animal. You'll see a mind tangled in memory. You'll see a survivor of an invisible war. You'll see the weight of a past that it cannot put down. The elephant that sways is showing you that it remembers everything, and that remembering is both a gift and a prison. For an elephant, the past is never really past. It lives inside the rhythm of its body, in the sway, in the shift from foot to foot, in the ancient quiet endurance of a heart that still feels every loss. If you enjoyed this video, please subscribe to our channel. There's much more to discover.